two, one more, and then three. Three. Yeah. I was waiting for three. Good morning. I will be playing a piece by African American composer Nathaniel Dett that he wrote in 1938. And it has the unusual title of To a Closed Casement. And I just wanted to make sure, I was pretty sure a casement was a window, so I went online and I checked. And it is a window, but it's a window that opens outward. If I could get the visual, that'd be it's a window that opens outward, and the idea of this, in my mind, based on Dett's other work, which is very much tied into his experiences as an African-American composer using African-American musical materials, is that this is a place where he's stuck, where he can't go further or out, and is to some extent looking through the window and trapped. And there's a very kind of tragic air to this. There are some moments of solace and peace, but it's you'll hear the challenge in this.
Thank you, Barbara. Welcome to our Sunday morning gathering of Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We're so glad to have you all that you've all chosen to join us, whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us virtually over Zoom, or even if you're watching this at a later date on our YouTube channel where the recording of our services get posted every Monday morning. Now please, let us prepare our minds and open our hearts. Oh, as we hear the prelude, which we already heard.
Play it again.
You want to play it again? And we'll do our centering thought. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Sorry, I've got a lot of papers up here this morning. The Kumeyaay people have lived on this land for more than 10,000 years. They were hunters and gatherers as well as astronomers, marine biologists, chemists, and physicists. They read the stars, predicted seasonal changes, and used natural materials to create rock art. We acknowledge that our fellowship resides on unceded Kumeyaay land, which continues to be home to the Kumeyaay people. We recognize the violent history of colonization in California, and we honor the legacy of the continuing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. We have some announcements this morning. If you have announcements, if you would like to come up and make them.
Good morning. A little louder. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday. I'm Erin, co-chair of Social Justice and Action Committee with Al. This Sunday today, we have our meeting at 12 in the library. It's also hybrid on Zoom, and the link is online. Also, this Saturday is Pride Parade. Sandy is going to tell us about that.
So it's Pride Parade in Hillcrest. We can march with the UU float. Expected attendance, 250,000 people. We'll need to be there at 10:45, which isn't too early, for a nice step off a little bit before noon, and it wends its way through toward Balboa Park. It's some nice exercise, but if you're not up for that, you can ride in the trailer of the car that's pulling the trailer. There are seats that will be available, but you might want to bring some shade in addition to your sunscreen. This represents our parasol drill team, which may or may not appear, but at least we can bring our parasols. They're available in the office if you want to grab one, right in the front of the office in a little box. If you're attending, just bring it along, and the crowd tends to like these colorful displays of parasols marching down. And I guess Erin will also provide some Summit logo pens that we'll be able to hand out to the crowd with our website and so forth that will allow us to be better known in the community. Anything else?
Also, I need your help. We were thinking about making a few posters with Summit's name on our website to carry and affix to the truck to help us get our name out. So please reach out if you can help us do that. Thank you.
Oh, you're going to do it. Okay, here, you need this.
Oh, okay. Hello, everybody. I'm hoping that that you and those of the people on Zoom will be able to join us on the 29th of July. Is it the 28th of July? That's 2 weeks from today, for a concert by Joe Ferrara. It starts at 2 and goes to about 4, depending on how much he gets involved in his music. He's pretty good at that, and he does a lot of sing-alongs and stuff like that. He's quite a repertoire. So if you can join us, it's tickets are $15 if you buy them here, and they'll be for sale outside today. and next week, and next week. And otherwise, if you can go and get it on, what is that called? Eventbrite, but you have to pay a fee for using Eventbrite. So if you want to get a little bit of a discount, you can buy tickets on this Sunday and next Sunday. Okay, thank you.
So it's at 2 o'clock, and you can go have lunch on your own and then come back and join us for that. Now we're going to light the chalice, and that is Connie Henry. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share. Please rise if you're able to or if you want to, and do our UU hymn and aspiration. May love be the spirit of this book. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. I have a responsive reading, but I forgot to share a concern. And this week, Mary will find out when, not if, she will get surgery on her broken elbow. She's in pain daily and can't use her right hand. Let's hear it for voice to text. Okay, the responsive reading. No, it's just me with Ned, but I don't see Ned. Yay! We have to be lip readers. Their job is not easy. I would not like their job.
Thank you. There we are.
There we are.
You?
Yeah.
I didn't, I was not given permission to be unmuted, so I tried my best. But
If you could be a little louder, that would be great, and we could hear him better. So Ned, you and I are doing this together, correct?
we are, and I thought I would read the first, and you would read the italics. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Great. So, words of Frederick Douglass. Those who persist to favor freedom and yet deprecate agitation are people who want crops without plowing up the ground.
They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its waters.
This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle.
Power concedes nothing without demand. It never did, and it never will.
Find out what people will submit to, and you have found out the exact amount of injustice which will be imposed upon them.
The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. Thank you. Now we're going to have a story, and if anybody would like to come up and sit with me, do you want to? And then we can do a story together. with me. This is called Duck for President. Can a president be a duck? You don't know? Let's find out. Duck for president. Oh, vote. It's important to vote, isn't it? Running a farm is very hard work. At the end of each day, Farmer Brown is covered from head to toe in hay, horsehair, seeds, sprouts, feathers, filth, and mud, muck, and coffee stains. He didn't smell very good either. The animals have chores to do too. Oh, look at what they have to do. Pigs, clean under the beds. Cows, weed the garden. Sheep, sweep the barn. Duck has to do a lot. Take out the trash, mow the lawn, grind the coffee beans. At the end of each day, the pigs are covered in lint bunnies, the cows are covered in weeds, and the sheep are covered in dust. And Duck is covered in tiny bits of grass and espresso beans. Duck did not like to do the chores. He did not like picking tiny bits of grass and espresso beans out of his feathers. Why is Farmer Brown in charge anyway, thought Duck. What we need is an election. And he made a sign and he hung it up in the barn. And it says, Farmer Brown must go. Farm election tomorrow. What do you think? Do you think the animals are gonna vote for him or not? You think so? The next morning, Farmer Brown found a poster on his front door. Vote Duck for a kinder, gentler farm. Farmer Brown was furious. He ran to the barn and found the animals registering to vote. Voter registrations. Voters must live on the farm, show valid ID, but he's crossing out the one that says they have to be that tall.
First of all, it's using the wrong thing. Second of all, why is it drawing with lipstick?
Oh, why is it drawing with lipstick? That's a really good point. Maybe that's all he had. And ducks wear lipstick too?
No.
The mice got together and protested the height requirement, so Duck crossed it off. On election day, each of the animals filled out a ballot and placed it in a box. The vote was counted and the results were posted on the barn wall. Farmer Brown got 6 votes, but how many did Duck get? 20. So who won? The duck did. Farmer Brown demanded a recount. One sticky ballot was found stuck to the bottom of a pig. And the new tally was Farmer Brown 6, Duck 21. The voters had spoken. Duck was officially in charge. Running a farm is very hard work. At the end of each day, Duck was covered from head to toe in hay, horsehair, seeds, sprouts, feathers, filth, mud, muck, and coffee stains. Running a farm is no fun at all, thought Duck. That night, Duck and his staff started working on Duck's campaign for governor. Governor. Vote for me, I'm a duck, not a politician. Duck left Farmer Brown in charge and hit the campaign trail. He visited small-town diners, he marched in parades, he went to town meetings, and he gave speeches that only other ducks could understand. On election day, the voters filled out their ballots in booths all over the state. The vote was counted and the results were posted in the local paper. And what does the headline read? Duck wins by a nose.
I don't know how to read.
Oh, I'm reading it to you, that's why. The governor demanded a recount. 2 sticky ballots were found stuck to the bottom of a plate of pancakes. The new tally was Ms. Governor, 299,999, and Duck, 300,002. The voters had spoken. Duck was officially in charge. Running a state is very hard work. At the end of each day, Duck was covered from head to toe in hairspray, ink sprains, scotch tape, fingerprints, mayonnaise, and coffee stains. And he had a very bad headache. Running a state is no fun at all, thought Duck. That night, Duck and his staff started working on posters for the presidential election. A duck for change. I like Ike. And they crossed it out and wrote Duck. Duck, making us proud again. Duck left his staff in charge and hit the campaign trail. He kissed babies in local diners. He rode in parades. He gave speeches that only other ducks could understand, and he even played the saxophone on late-night television. On election day, the voters filled out their ballots in booths all over the country. The vote was counted, and the results were announced on CNN. The president demanded a recount. 10 sticky ballots were found stuck to the bottom of the vice president. The new tally was Decision America. Mr. President had 50,546,165 votes, and Duck had 50,546,180. Who won?
The duck.
The duck. The voters had spoken. Duck was officially in charge. Running a country is very hard work. At the end of each day, Duck was covered from head to toe in face powder, paper cuts, staples, security badges, Secret Service agents, and coffee stains. And he had a very bad headache.
How's he getting that dirty?
Just working so hard, I guess. Running a country is no fun at all, thought Duck. Then he checked out the help wanted ads. Duck needed, no experience necessary, must be able to mow the lawn and grind coffee beans. Wait a minute, isn't that what the farmer gave him to do? That he didn't want to do? That's sounding good to him now, isn't it? Duck left the vice president in charge and headed back to the farm. At the end of each day, Farmer Brown is now covered from head to toe in hay, horsehair, seeds, sprouts, feathers, filth, muck, mud, and coffee stains. And Duck,
What about snow?
is working on his autobiography. Did you like that story? You're going to go back with Mary now.
That was so great. Thank you so much, Stacy. I love having other voices with stories. All right, we're going to head back to RE. We have a really special day in RE today. Sarah Duvall brought a mobile potter studio. And so we're going to be outside playing with clay and building cool things. So I'm going to attempt to do our UU affirmation with one hand. Anybody want to help me? All right. So we are Unitarian, Universalist, people of open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. All right, and anybody who wants to go play with clay, let's go.
1, each person is worthwhile, to be kind in all you do. 3, we help each other learn, 4, and search for what is true. 5, all people have a say. 6, work for a peaceful world. 7, the web of life's the way. 8 will bring us back to me and you. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so, do. If you feel like standing, or if you can, or if you're willing to, we're going to sing hymn number 113, Where is Our Holy Church? And how many verses are we doing?
5.
We're doing all 5 verses? Okay. Where is our holy church, where risen class unite, as equal persons in the search for beauty and right? Where is our holy writ, where'er a human heart a sacred torch of truth has lit by inspiration taught? Where is our Holy One? A mighty host respond. The people rise in every land to break the captive's bond. Where is our holy dread? Where in the human soul, wherever many of you, the next person doesn't need an introduction. Our beloved Ned Wight, Reverend Ned Wight, who now hails from the North Shore of Western Long Island, but we knew him in 1992 through 2005 as our leader, our Reverend, and I'm very happy that he's here with us today to share his thoughts. Reverend Ned Wight. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to do a reading. I'm sorry. I remembered, Ned. Here I am. Okay. The body is humankind. This is a cool reading, too. I am a single cell in a body of 4 billion cells. The body is humankind. I am a single cell. My needs are individual, but they are not unique. I'm interlocked with other human beings in the consequences of our actions, thoughts, and feelings. I will work for human unity and human peace, for moral order in harmony with the order of the universe. Together, we share the quest for a society of the whole equal to our needs, a society in which we need not live beneath our moral capacity, in which justice has a life of its own. We are single cells in a body of 4 billion cells. The body is humankind. Now, Ned Wright.
There we go. I'm getting an echo, so I'm going to turn my sound off. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Yes? Yes. You can hear me? Good. All right, good. We're going. So, I'm sorry not to be there in person, but I'm pleased through the magic of Zoom. You still get the echo? You're getting an echo.
No, we're good.
You're good. Okay, good. I would wish to be there in person, but I'm pleased to have Zoom as the technology that makes it possible for me to be with you, even though I'm on Long Island in New York. Our theme today is preserving democracy. The disturbing shooting of presidential candidate Donald Trump in Pennsylvania yesterday evening throws into sharp relief the challenge of preserving American democracy in the 21st century. A desperate person resorting to violence to have his way rather than participating in democratic decision-making by a majority of the people. There's a marked absence of unity in the overall body politic in these disunited states, and we're now living in the shadow of credible threats to the future of our republic and the democratic norms that have sustained us for 248 years. In times such as these, it's more urgent than ever to devote ourselves to preserving our democracy. And given our deep commitment to as you use to the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process, I think we need to do whatever we can to ensure that the core institutions of democratic decision-making persist. In September, I'm planning to join my cousin Greg from Pomona for a tour of Ireland. His father and my mother were brother and sister. He's about 3 months older than I. We've known each other our whole lives. He and I have always gotten along with each other, enjoyed one another's company. In 2018, we spent 10 days together in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. Greg is a lifelong conservative Republican. And in 2018, he was a supporter of President Donald Trump. I definitely was not. On our trip, there were uncomfortable moments when certain topics came up: immigration, foreign and economic policy, racial justice, personal character. And since then, we can add the January 6th insurrection, election denial, classified document retention, civil, criminal indictments, and convictions. My cousin and I talked about how difficult it was for the two of us who've known and loved each other for years to talk about these issues without getting defensive and offensive, characterizing the leaders in our respective parties and their supporters as terrible, awful, no good, very bad people. How are we going to be able to spend 2 weeks together in September? It's painful to realize how much of an impasse we've come to in being able to maintain civil discourse across a deep partisan divide that just seems to grow deeper and wider. But I know that it's imperative to confront and break this impasse. The very survival of our democratic form of government depends on it. We have to be able to discuss and debate issues openly, freely, and with civility, to listen to one another, to consider diverse viewpoints in order to make informed judgments about the issues of the day, and to exercise these judgments as political beings as we vote, as we speak with our representatives, as we speak with our friends and neighbors about issues that matter. Democracy matters to me because it's an embodiment of my fundamental values. As a UU, I have long articulated these in terms of our UU principles: the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, the right of conscience, and the use of the democratic process in our congregations and society at large. Democracy matters to me because it's the system of government grounded in the ideas of equality, of guaranteeing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to all, and welcome for the refugee and the stranger. That's why I included as our centering thought an excerpt from the inscription by Emmer Lazarus on the Statue of Liberty. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame with the conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gate shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name Mother of Exiles. From her beacon and glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Democracy matters because it is the form of government most congruent with these deeply held values. Our faith as UUs compels us to speak out and take action to preserve democracy in our state, our nation, our city, wherever. This is especially true when we learn of actions by political leaders that threaten to replace democratic principles and practices with authoritarian ones. So I'm going to share with you this morning a few reflections inspired by a series of articles in an issue of the Atlantic Monthly entitled, "Is Democracy Dying?" Sobering articles, to be sure, about threats to democracy. This morning, I'll touch briefly on 3 of these threats and plant the seed for further consideration about what we might do to answer them. Threat number 1, slide into tribalism. Amy Chua and Jeb Rubenfeld of Yale Law School write about the erosion of what the authors of the Constitution thought would be the glue uniting American citizens in the future, something they called constitutional patriotism, a kind of reverence for the Constitution and the nation's laws. It means that being American is not the preserve of any particular racial, ethnic, religious, or political subgroup. The grand vision, not always fully realized to be sure, was to create a national identity that transcends any tribal identity. And yet, now we are witnessing a powerful resurgence of tribalism, which has taken a particularly virulent turn in the realm of political partisanship. Americans on both the left and the right now view their political opponents not as fellow Americans with different views, but as enemies to be vanquished. Contrary to some who would claim otherwise, America was not established as an ethnic nation. And fortunately, still at the present, we don't have to choose between national identity and any other cultural identity we might have. Yet unifying constitutional patriotism seems to be going out of style in favor of a much more limited tribal mentality. Tribalism is a threat to preserving democracy. Threat number 2, a decline in voluntary associations. In Losing the Democratic Habit, Yoni Applebaum, senior editor of The Atlantic, recounts how Americans once learned the skills of self-governance by constant practice in lodge halls, neighborhood associations, labor unions, schools, and churches. But recent decades have witnessed a dramatic decline in membership. We seem to be no longer a nation of joiners. One unfortunate result, the weakening of our democratic muscles. And with the ideology and practice of some of our leaders, we may be witnessing the erosion of one of our core democratic principles: the willingness to adhere to settled rules, even when in the short term doing so ensures your opponent's triumph and your own defeat, is the hardest of all democratic habits to acquire, he writes. And now we see an unwillingness to play by long-established rules operating at the highest levels of our political system. The decline of civic participation and the death of voluntary associations is a threat to preserving democracy. And the third threat, the devaluing of rational discourse in favor of emotional fervor. In Madison versus the Mob, President and CEO of the National Constitution Center, Jeffrey Rosen, offers a brief history lesson about what kept James Madison up at night before and during the Constitutional Convention. As a student of European history, Madison was concerned about government by demagogues and mobs, ruled more by their passions and emotional impulses than reasoned consideration of principles and policies. He worried about people putting short-term gratification before long-term interests. He felt there needed to be structural complexities to ensure checks and balances on power. Madison would be deeply disturbed by the current state of our democracy. A highly polarized Congress and a former president who seems as much as anything to pander to the fears and prejudices of the mob, his base, now amplified by social media in ways Madison could never have imagined. Not only that, but the courts and media are also polarized in a way that would surely have alarmed Madison. The devaluing of rational discourse in favor of emotional fervor is a threat to preserving democracy. So now that I've thoroughly depressed you, we can all sing a dirge and go home. Or might there be some actions we can consider to help in preserving democracy? How might we confront the first threat, number 1? How might we counteract our slide into tribalism? Is there a way that institutions like Summit, Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and other UU congregations might build some sort of bridge, providing a chance for people to talk with another across the tribal gulfs that currently divide us? Might we create forums for people with different political orientations and ideologies to share their thoughts and perspectives with one another? How might we create safe spaces for speaking our differing truths in a setting where we are encouraged to listen actively and deeply to one another, as much as we are encouraged to put forward our own views and opinions? What ground rules might we adopt to bring this about? Are such forums even possible? And in the context of constitutional patriotism, let me say a word here about patriotism in its more common usage. I grew up in the 50s and 60s when some people tried to claim a very narrow view of patriotism as the national norm. To be a patriot, you had to fly the American flag on your front porch or on your car and wear a flag pin on your lapel. You had to believe my country, right or wrong, supporting everything that was done or said by U.S. leaders. You could not criticize U.S. leaders or policies, which was regarded as aiding and abetting our nation's enemies. You could not support the United Nations or any other body that might require some compromise of national sovereignty for a greater global unity. I rejected that narrow view of patriotism then, and I reject it now. Genuine patriotism requires us to criticize our leaders and policies whenever they are inconsistent with our founding principles and values. When the universal international right to asylum from state-sponsored or state-sanctioned violence is thwarted, the American patriot must speak out. When health and well-being of the planet that supports human life now and for the next 7 generations and beyond, we hope, is threatened, the American patriot must speak out. When the legacy of white supremacy, slavery, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, and racism in the United States is denied and racial injustice perpetuated, the American patriot must speak out. When the wealth gap between the richest and poorest Americans continues to widen at an accelerating pace, the American patriot must speak out. The United States is a pluralistic democracy. When leaders or just plain citizens claim that it is something else, the American patriot must speak out. How about confronting threat number 2? What can we do about the decline in voluntary associations? As parents and concerned adults, we can ensure not only that American civics, how our government functions, is taught in our schools, but that youth have ample opportunities to practice self-governance, to try, to fail, to try again, to make mistakes, to learn from their mistakes, to discover how to engage with others in achieving collective goals. We may already do a good job of that in the youth programming in our congregations, and I hope that we do, but we may need to be even more intentional in the years ahead and to reach beyond our congregations. Yoni Applebaum notes that the American system of government functions properly only when embedded in a culture deeply committed to democracy. That culture sustains the Constitution, not the other way around. This means we need to look for opportunities to be active citizens in our neighborhoods and cities and towns, not only as voters in periodic elections, though that's crucial. We should be sure that everyone who's eligible is registered to vote and able to get to the polls to exercise their franchise, but also as engaged citizens, reading up on local issues, attending hearings and council meetings, contacting elected officials to advocate for issues that matter to us, even running for office. How about confronting threat number 3? Is there a way to elevate rational discourse over emotional fervor? Jeffrey Rosen notes that today passion has gotten the better of us. The preservation of the Republic urgently requires imparting constitutional principles to a new generation, reviving Madisonian reason in an impetuous world. As communities that lift up respect for freedom, reason, and tolerance in our pursuit of truth and ethical understanding, UU congregations like Summit are well poised to provide opportunities to come together in a spirit of mutual curiosity and respectful inquiry. American democracy isn't a perfect system of governance. Our elections certainly aren't perfect, and we will be debating issues and policies forever. But I remain hopeful as long as we can maintain a commitment to preserve and protect government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as President Abraham Lincoln said in his Gettysburg Address, a phrase, incidentally, that he picked up from 19th century Unitarian minister Theodore Parker. I believe there is a hunger for inclusive democratic engagement throughout these not-so-united states. Here on Long Island in New York, I have participated in numerous interfaith gatherings that have affirmed a shared commitment to democracy across a whole range of differing faith and philosophical traditions. Many citizens are eager to come together in unity, sharing a commitment to preserve and protect our democracy so that all of us, in all of our diversity of faith and culture may continue this nation's bold democratic experience. At one such gathering, I was moved by the words of Bengali poet, musician, artist, and mystic Rabindranath Tagore. It seems appropriate at this service on preserving our democracy to end with Tagore's words. What do I desire from my country? How do I vision that land I love? Let it be a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and men and women hold their heads high, where words come out from the depth of truth, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where tireless striving stretches its arms toward perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way in the dreamy desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. Let my country awake. So may it always be. Shalom. Blessed be. Inshallah. Aho. Shanti. Amen.
American idioms. So folk music, and this one is blues, and I think it's wonderful. Enjoy.
if you're willing and able, we'll stand and we'll sing hymn number 1018. A lot of you will find this tune very familiar, and it's fun to sing. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land. There'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Now, those of you who are willing and able, also, let's stand up and do the, oh, I have closing words, sorry, just a minute. And they're important. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there's another truth. You are not alone. Now let's do our circle closing song.